Welcome one, welcome all to Sebring International Raceway here on SimSpeed TV. It is time for week 6 in 2024 season 2, iRacing's GR Buttkicker Cup. We are broadcasting the Thursday evening split of the official series this season in the hopes of getting some rain. We're not going to have any predicted for this round here at Sebring International Raceway, but things are looking interesting for the rest of the season. Bringing it to you all live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It's me, Reese Gardner. Scott Rankin is alongside me in the comms box. Jake Kennedy is behind the scenes pressing all the buttons, bringing you these live pictures. Well, Scott, racing at Sebring, and it is the full layout for this one. Bit of an oddity, I think, for a lower license level series. Usually we find series racing at Sebring's club layout or the like, but we're racing the full course tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a good decision. I think cars like the Mazda and the Toyota 86, Formula 3, Formula 4, these sorts of caliber cars, bring the full layout of it's actually really, really interesting to race around. It's going to be in excess of a 2-minute lap, so qualifying, you'll have to get out there as soon as it opens up. 6 kilometers in length for a Toyota 86. Gee, that's a long lap time in terms of things, but great car, handles bumps really, really well tonight. It's going to be really interesting. I'm actually thoroughly looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly looking forward to it as well. Plenty of big overtaking opportunities around this circuit, but of course, you need to be careful of the bumps. It's concrete out there, if not patchwork of concrete and tarmac, very old tarmac to be precise. So in a car that already has a not very grippy rear end, this could actually come to bring some drivers out. And really test their ability, especially through Sunset Bend. Very fast corner in any car, but a huge bump under the bridge going across the circuit there at turn 17. It'll be interesting to see who manages to get to the finish in one piece.
Yeah, but it also presents a huge opportunity for crossover moves and over-unders. You've got to time getting onto the throttle. You've got to balance your entry point. 50% brake bias, remember, in these cars, it's locked to that. That's just how they roll out. So getting the car pivoted in really nicely, using all of the available track space coming onto the back straight. There's a lot of different opportunities to show your skills, show your wares as a driver, and long straights, Reese. That's the big key. A draft car like this with long straights, lots of opportunity for overtaking. Bump drafting, you will see it tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, indeed you will. Let's consider then the format for tonight. Same as every other week. Drivers are in the middle of a 8-minute qualifying session. They each get 2 laps each, and the first of those laps are about to come in. It really is amazing just how long this track is in these cars. It's nigh on 2.5 minutes. We've just seen the first of the times come in, and Marlon McMullen in the number 1 car currently on provisional pole position. 2 minutes and 25 seconds is what you will expect. We then have a 15-minute race, of course, and it's just going to be a straight-up sprint all the way to the end. Don Domenico getting to the front. Dylan DeBono, who races in the Aussie Car Series we broadcast on SimSpeed, getting up into P3. Field looking competitive so far.
Well, good to see Stratty out there as well. I have talked to Matt Stratford a number of times over the recent history. Loves his Toyota 86 racing. He's always thoroughly enjoying it. And have a look at the Australian contingent. We've been lacking a few Australian drivers over the last couple of weeks, Reese, but they're out here, and they're out here in force tonight from Sebring. So always create some interesting moments. Hayden Kirk's out there as well. Brunty's back. Got to go toe-to-toe with Matthew Brunt in another race. I think it might have been a Formula Ford race actually earlier in the week. And was enjoying. No, you know what it was? Actually, it was a Toyota 86's last week. It was Toyota 86's last week before Scops, and I managed to come away on the plus side in the wet conditions. So that was fun. These cars. I love these cars. They're right up there. Did you know I had the second fastest lap around the 24-hour layout in the of the Nürburgring in the Toyota 86 in race conditions?
Oh no, I didn't know that, but I don't think I'll be able to hear the end of it.
200ths I missed the record by the way.
Damn, okay. That's quite a margin there. Well, you can always try again at some point, next time the Nürburgring 24-hour comes around, or if the NEC series uses the 24-hour layout.
Sadly, they removed it from competition this year. The Toyota 86 isn't a part of the Nürburgring 24-hour series anymore.
Oh, well, that's a big shame there. So your second place will stand for time immemorial until iRacing potentially decides to bring it back. In any case, second laps are about to come to the fore here. Marlon McMullen out of the final corner. Can he respond to Don Domenico's big improvement up the top of the field? A 2:25.216 there. McMullen didn't gain as much as he would have wanted on that lap. He will remain second, but Mitch McLeod jumping up to third spot. Domenico, meanwhile, still 2:25.17. We're going to have to keep an eye out for the likes of Adam Heng as well, who's just going to scrape in with a lap time here. Across the start-finish line, 2:27.5. That will put him decidedly not last. Actually, no, it won't. It looks like the lap didn't count for Adam Heng. So unfortunately, we have two drivers who did not get around to set times in qualifying, but we can go through the grid for this round of the Toyota GR86 Buttkicker Cup here on the iRacing service. The number 10 of Don Domenico is going to start on pole position. 2:25.171 is the time that everyone failed to beat. Marlon McMullen is going to start alongside Don on the front row of the grid. Mitch McLeod and Matthew Brunt will start in third and fourth. De Bono manages to start fifth alongside Matt Stratford. Wolfgang Bussen, car number 11, will start in seventh spot. Then we have Douglas Gowans in eighth, Mark Taylor in ninth, and Brett Selby Wood rounding out the top 10. Jingyu Rao is going to start out of 11th spot alongside Sam Devantier. Rico Lama is going to start in 13th place. Hayden Kirk, Michael Cullen, Adam Heng, and Artem Udod are going to round out our 17-car field here, Scott. It's going to be interesting to see who gets the best run off the line.
Yeah, it's going to be about time in that run. We've got a full pacing lap to come your way as well, so not a shortened pacing lap as well. So it will be a long warm up. A lot of time for those tyre temperatures to come down as you so see it. But yeah, that's the starting grid. And have a look at it. Only the two drivers in that top 10 outside of Australia and New Zealand. And only 5 drivers across the field, 6 drivers across the field as well. So finally getting that Australian contingent to jump in and enjoy the Toyota 86. Popular car, very, very popular car. So finally showing it.
Indeed. Well, 28 degrees Celsius track temperature as the sun sets. It is 8:15 in sim time, and the heat has stayed in the track surface. That does mean that the tires are going to get up to temperature very quickly. It also means there's a lot of potential to overheat them if you go for a slide. Who knows exactly how the tire wear or tire heat cycling is going to go. We've got a full formation lap as well around here, which is going to take a while, it has to be said. So we've got plenty of time, Scott, to talk about this track. Going through turn 1 right now, very difficult to get right in any car. Narrows up quite a bit on the exit. Turn 2 is just that little kink to the right, and then turns 3, 4, and 5 you have to take as one unit, but it's important to get the exit out because then you have Big Bend, flat out right-hander down to the hairpin.
Yeah, and that's a big key. I think you nailed it, hit it on the head there, Reese, as well. Is it's one sort of flowing corner. It all sets itself up. The run down through the big bend to the hairpin. You've got to get the braking point right. And in these cars, you've got to carry enough brake to that apex at the hairpin as well. You need to get exit speed off the hairpin. So it's not a normal hairpin. We can just attack the entry really, really late on the brakes. No, you've also got to maximize your exit speed. In these cars, that's going to provide a great opportunity for some overtaking on the exit. Run through Fangio down to Cunningham. There's just so many really good overtaking spots around this track for these cars as well. Tower's going to be incredibly tricky to balance that car, not drift too wide, not pick up the dirt on the left-hand side of your straight line speed will be significantly compromised.
Yeah, Sebring, very much an old-school racetrack. Grass lines the circuit almost everywhere, apart from down the second half of the lap when you start getting back onto the airfield. There's plenty of concrete to gather you up around there, but not here at Cunningham Corner, which tightens up quite a bit middle of the way through. The run up to Tower is flat out in these cars. It's flat out in almost anything, but as you can see, very twisty. You've got to be right on your steering inputs. Make sure that you don't get too much oversteer going over those very harsh curbs.
Yeah, particularly cold tyres. You've got to get all the way to the left-hand side, point yourself at Tower nice and early, and try and rotate onto the throttle. But there's a big sort of bump down towards the inside, the curb on the right-hand side of the road. The 86s will probably ride it a lot better than most other cars, but it's still a very large curb. The flat-out run all the way down through here through Bishop on the way to the Le Mans corners and the back straight's an interesting one as well. Same sort of thing. You've got to get all the way to the right when you get down here to turn 15, tip it in, use as much of the curb as you possibly can, balance the car, get it all the way back to the left, don't dip a wheel over the curb, you'll pick yourself up a slowdown on the left-hand side, and then as much room as you possibly can to rotate the car back to the right, all the curb on the left-hand side. There's nearly a car's width of curb out there, that's how big that curb is, a lot of opportunity to carry more speed onto the straight. And then probably the most crucial corner on the lap, Sunset Bend. Can get it very wrong. You get it wrong, you end up either, well, if it was wet, way out in the weeds because you've got no ability to stop the car. And then if you don't arc the apex correctly, you've got to memorize where all the bumps are through this final corner. That is such a key part of getting a good lap at Sunset. If you take the wrong line and you're off by a couple of feet, there's a big old bump, the car will understeer, the car will snap oversteer, she's all over.
Exactly right. Got to keep an eye out for that wall on the inside there as well, where the marshal's post is. It can be very easy to hit that, but now, attention turns from seeking out the conditions to seeking out positions as the pace car comes in, and we are getting ready to race here in the GR Buttkicker Cup at Sebring. Green flag flies and we are away. Look at everyone fan out here across the start-finish line. Don Domenico loses the lead to Mitch McLeod, who was very aggressive on the rolling start. He's got the inside for turn 1, and it's 3 wide for second. Domenico's going to keep second place for a moment, but De Bono might have something to do about that. Boson gets spun around across the front of the field. Oh, it is absolute bedlam. And the back half of this field coming through turn 2. Boson with heavy damage from that, but the front of the field continues on. Domenico is starting to come back at McLeod for the lead.
Yeah, I think, Doug, so the cars that were wrapped up in that one were Gowans, Taylor, Kirk, Selby Wood started from the lane, Sam Devantier's done, and Matt Stratford and Wolfgang Boosen, which I think is where that one kicked off, so they're all out of it. Domenico and McLeod, though, going toe-to-toe, and Domenico's picked up the throttle nice and early, got away with it. Another car round.
Yeah, and that is Jingyu Rao, who started in 11th spot, gained a lot of positions from the collisions coming into turn 3, but has lost almost all of them back now. McLeod still on the back of Don Domenico. This is going to be a battle for the ages if they can keep this up, but Domenico, despite having a couple of issues getting off the initial start, easily the fastest driver here in qualifying. But Mitchell McLeod does have a habit of jumping into races with little to no practice, so we might have yet to see his true pace out here.
Yeah, figures it out on the fly, but at the same time, it's an opportunity to push us far forward and learn. Look, this was the run through turn 1. It closes up on the exit, and everyone sort of narrows, and they just barely tripped over each other. And there was just the lightest amount of contact in the wrong place on the car. That's all that was.
Yeah, big shame. Cars were playing ping pong with the walls, bouncing back onto the racetrack, and the drivers behind could do very little to stymie that. Meanwhile, Marlon McMullen on the back of Mitchell McLeod, and looks like he's content to just stay behind Mitch for the time being. Doesn't want to be too aggressive early on. They know that they're able to keep up with Domenico, and it seems that McMullen more than content to help McLeod potentially to the lead. Then they can fight amongst themselves, but they have to keep an eye out for Dylan De Bono behind. All of the top 4 occupying the same bit of racetrack here as we start the second lap. We already have only 12 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, we've burned through nearly a fifth of the time we've got available to us. It's only going to be about 5-6 laps at the absolute most. Might get a seventh if we're a little bit lucky in terms of things. But as it stands, that front group breakaway of 4 cars, Matt Brunt's managed to go and hang on to P6, and he looks like he's actually starting to close in on Rico Lemma. But there was a little bit of discussion right there as well about what are we going to do? We're going to fight. We're going to try and keep up with this race lead, fight a little bit later on. Well, there's a fight for 5th place as it stands.
Oh, fight for 3rd here as De Bono makes his way up the inside of McMullen at the hairpin. Sorry, that's for 4th. My apologies. No, it is for 3rd. De Bono did make his way past McMullen there, but this is the fight for 5th as well. Rico Lemma and Matthew Brunt going side by side on the way coming into Cunningham Corner. Brunt's picked up some damage somewhere along the line. Potentially, that was the opening lap incident, and he forces Lemma onto the curb. Round he goes. Don't know how happy Rico Lemma is going to be with that. The fighting still continues on for what is now 7th position. Little freebie for these guys, Adam Heng and Michael Cullen. Remember, Cullen started basically at the back of the field, and he's had a really good run here, avoided the worst of the lap 1 carnage.
Yeah, Atum Udod has also gained himself 8 spots as well, had a reasonably good opening lap, so 2 drivers getting 8, 3 drivers getting 8 thus far. They started 15th, 16th and 17th, they sit 7th, 8th and 9th on the road.
That they do. Well, let's see if they can keep that momentum up and maybe challenge the drivers ahead of them. There's certainly still a lot to play for here. Coming up to the end of lap 2, we're almost going to have 10 minutes to go. This is the replay of the move between Lemma and Brunt. Lemma on the inside, of course. Brunt a lot more aggressive on the brakes, turns in, just to avoid contact there. Lemma went a little more to the inside, but he was just too aggressive over the curb. And we've commentated enough races in these cars by now, Scott, to know that you do not want to be hopping over curbs in this car. It'll just unsettle you. There's McMullen getting back past De Bono. A poor exit from the final corner.
Yeah, so timing your run, setting yourself up really nicely, but also working together. It's crucial from Dylan De Bono to sit there and go, okay, I've made the mistake. The best possible thing I can do right now is let him have it, tuck in, or else we lose the opportunity to go with the front two. And McLeod is really starting to harass Domenico as well, so there's an opportunity there. Like you said, with the curbing, you can do it, but you've got to straighten the wheel out nearly immediately. You've basically got to point it at a huge bump, and then whilst that car is unloaded, straighten that wheel. You do anything else, the car will spin. There's a real finesse to it and timing of it when you're railing curbs in this car, and just didn't quite grab it. The key factor there for Matthew Brunt was that he actually got clear. His spotter would have called clear at the corner entry point because he brakes so much later, and then he swept in and for Ryu, he's just there.
Meanwhile, we're going to see how De Bono lost 3rd. Oh, that's contact with the wall there. Yeah, it looked like he caught the wall on the inside of Sunset Bend as well. So a massively compromised line. Doesn't seem to have picked up too much damage from it. He's still right in the fight here for the very top of top honors here at Sebring. So let's see how the story is told down the Ullman Straight, Scott. If he's picked up damage, that's where we'll see it.
Yeah, De Bono looks like he's pressing on as hard as he possibly can. If you keep half an eye on, he's really overusing the track limits, and that for me is the real key. So, he's just sort of pressing the margins really. Mullen's able to go with these guys quite well. I don't know if he might be struggling just that fraction, or I think he's just made a couple mistakes, to be honest with you, just overdriven the car just a little bit, and that's what's lost him this pack. Now he's got to work hard. Again, look at that. Picks up a touch of grass, more momentum lost, more falling back, and he's at 0.7 of a second off these guys ahead now. One more mistake like that, the pack's gone. That's it. He'll finish 4th.
Here comes McLeod, meanwhile, in the slipstream up the inside of Domenico, coming down the Ullman Straight, and Domenico's going to go very wide on the way into the corner and let McMullen by 2, but McMullen's gone a bit too deep, leaves the door open for Domenico on the exit. Now, does Dom have enough momentum to pass McMullen again before they get to turn 1? No, he doesn't. McMullen's going to stay there, and this is giving a great bit of slipstream to Dylan De Bono, who against all odds, is still remaining in the fight for the win here. McMullen covers Domenico on the exit of turn 1, but that little back and forth has allowed McLeod a bit of breathing room.
Oh, there was a dive and an immediate cover from McMullen. He saw the move and immediately shoved across to the left-hand side of the road to cover that one as well. And you're right, now this has presented an opportunity. De Bono, just a couple of corners and key corners where his opposition were overdriving themselves looking for the move. That's when you've got to be a little bit more patient. You go, okay, I'll underdrive this a fraction because I'm going to make time out of this. There's no reason to press for the absolute margins, and it's worked. Oh my word!
That's a very aggressive late dive there from Domenico. That shuffles Marlon McMullen, back to 4th. Dylan De Bono takes advantage of McMullen being sent wide. Man, Domenico, when he's been going for these moves, it's like a Senna or Schumacher type maneuver. It's very late, and it doesn't give the defending driver a chance to really defend.
Yeah, but it's also so late. He's running the risk of making contact and ending both of their races. That's the key. He's taking a lot of risks, and you're right. It is. I like the fact that the drivers that you mentioned, because it's professional. It's late down to the inside goes Jingyu it's Devante and Rico Lama that are going side by side at this point in time. But look at the drivers that you mentioned. Look at the skill set that they have. He's effectively pulling those sorts of moves. Does he have the technique and the pace to back it up? That's the question that he's sort of got to ask himself. High risk? Well, sometimes it doesn't pay off.
Exactly right. Battle for 10th on the bottom of the screen still ongoing. Sam Devantier trying to fend off Rico Lama, who is attempting a bit of a recovery of his own and is very aggressive on the way into Jean de Bienne, but nothing that he can do to get past Devantier for the time being. The battle for the lead has calmed down a little as well. I mean, everyone's still in a line here, but once again, seeing Dylan De Bono catch the inside wall at Sunset Bend, and all 3 of the top 3 have started jetting away from Marlon McMullen. Very defensive, meanwhile, from Devantier as he tries to keep Lama behind him. Out comes Domenico, and back to the lead through turn 1. De Bono holds back a little bit, decides not to go for it too hard, but will McLeod come back at Domenico here? No, he won't. Domenico, massively defensive coming into turn 3. He holds on to the momentum.
Yeah, and now have a look at this battle that's not going away for P10 on the road as well between Devantier and Lama. And they're starting to catch Michael Cullen just up ahead of them. Cullen didn't have a great last lap, lost about 5 seconds to these guys. So a mistake it was, I think, down probably at the hairpin, but he's also dumping a lot of time. So probably some damage to that car, and indeed there is. So there's a chance for those guys to catch on up ahead, but this battle up front.
Oh, here comes Dylan De Bono. Up the inside of Mitch McLeod. A little bit of contact in the middle of the corner. Oh, and De Bono suffering some technical issues as well. Marlon McMullen could face a chance here of getting back onto the podium. This is happening at the worst possible time for Dylan De Bono. As defensive attempt from Domenico, but it's half-hearted, it seems. You know, he's trying to go defensive, but he's not committing to any one line until the last possible moment.
And he's reacting as well, that's the key for Mitchell McLeod. The moves are so late that Mitch McLeod is having to check up so much to stay out of his rear bumper. It's costing him so much momentum. They had dropped Marlon. They were right at the edge of dropping Marlon, and now he's right on them within a couple corners. That's how aggressive they're being. If Matthew Brunt was in with a shout at this one, they dropped 0.7 of a second to him on that last lap. If they keep the racing up like this, even though there's only going to be 2 laps left in this one, there's actually a chance he'll get back to them, because they're just absolutely stoushing like it's paid at this next corner.
Yeah, well, we've only got 3 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock. And honestly, considering how long a lap is here, we might be facing a chance of getting to the final lap here. There's a lot of weaving from Domenico on the back stretch, and I don't know if that's the right call, because you might end up just costing yourself time there. McLeod's going to keep up the pressure coming through the last turn. McMullen getting past De Bono in the meantime, who's still suffering technical issues. And, well, it looks like we are going to make it 2 laps to go here. 20 seconds to spare. Domenico defends McLeod coming into turn 1. Is there anything that Mitch can do to hook up the throttle a little earlier and get the momentum into turn 3? Slight catch of the grass for Domenico and continued blinking for Dylan De Bono.
So they're both dealing with issues at this point in time. There's actually a little bit of chat on the in-race radio just there. Yep, no worries, mate. I'll try and look after you. Same, basically back and forth was the long and short of it. But Domenico, I get the feeling for Domenico that if he loses this lead once again to Mitch McLeod, I think that might be the end of it. I reckon there'll be an accident, and there's already been close to an accident thus far. If he loses this once more, I think they'll end up in tears.
Indeed. There you go again. He was weaving to break the draft, and this time McLeod and De Bono said, no thank you, we're not going to follow you. You can play your games by yourself, mate. Look at this exit, meanwhile, from Mitch McLeod. Now, Domenico has to commit to a defense early here. McLeod does see the door open, and they draw alongside on the way in. How late is McLeod going to break? Domenico breaks slightly later, and McLeod can't hold it round the outside.
Well, he's going to pin him. I think he needed to pin him a little bit narrower. When somebody's blocking this aggressively, you go, okay, you've committed to your line. You're staying there. You get no more room on this racetrack. Oh, De Bono!
Oh, that's late. They make contact. Once, twice. No, 3 times. Okay, cool. De Bono and McLeod will continue on, but this has just given a massive advantage to Domenico. These two fighting for second are going to have to sort this out quickly, maybe work together, because they might have just lost the chance for the win.
I tell you what, they're out of draft. They're actually out of draft as it currently stands. So basically, they've got a bump draft on this next straight to have a shot. They've got to get a great exit. All 3 of them have got to work together. Well, Domenico skips clear of this one, and that might be all she wrote. So either effectively slingshot draft or bump draft. That's their only opportunity. Yeah, they're not going to work together.
That's a shame. Well, we'll see if they gain any more momentum here on the final lap, which is coming up in just a few moments' time. De Bono falls back into 4th spot and almost stands a chance of getting back past McMullen on the exit, but doesn't. McLeod, meanwhile, very wide out of the final corner as the white flag is taken for Domenico. Here we go, then, down to turn 1, one last time. Is there anything these guys can do to catch back up?
Well, work together. They've got to make up half a second before they get to that back straight. Otherwise, it's all over. And I think it's just too far. They've actually lost another 10th as they go through turn number 1, and they're just continuing to fall back. I think Domenico's got this one, and it was defensive driving, defensive moves, and then it was a Hail Mary from Dylan De Bono that kind of works, and he's now been punished for it, though.
And that he has. Well then, now it is McLeod still in second, McMullen still in third. Is there going to be a dive here at the hairpin, or is McMullen going to try and help McLeod along, try and help both of them to get up to Domenico again? That is the question. No bump drafting on the straight down to the hairpin. Seems like everything's just sitting and waiting to explode on the run to the last corner.
That'll be where it happens too. We've already seen it. Over-unders, driving deep aggressively into the last corner. Well, now you break really late for that last corner. The line that Mitch McLeod took through the last corner last lap was not all that great for exit momentum. This lap, well, you've only got half a straight to go, so it doesn't actually matter all that much. So that would be the mindset. I'd be deep on the anchors into the last corner because I can probably just hold off that margin I've gained.
Down to Le Mans and Jean de Bien now. It doesn't seem like McMullen's that interested in harassing the back of McLeod through this section. He's probably just waiting for that opportunity, waiting for Mitch to maybe run wide on the exit of Le Mans, which he's done before in this race. Switch back, change direction. Is the right load on the tires? Did you have enough weight on the fronts to get it rotated? All of them did. And now it's only one corner to go here at Sebring in the GR Buttkicker Cup. Domenico leading by 1.6 seconds. There is no catching him, but is there catching Mitchell McLeod for Marlon McMullen, who is aggressive on the way into the final corner? And it looks like there's nothing that can be done here. No big incidents coming out of the final turn. No passes, which means Don Domenico is certainly going to be happy with taking the win here in the 6th week of 2024 Season 2. Adam Heng, meanwhile, managing to get up to the back of Matthew Brunt by the end, which is a very impressive recovery there.
As Sam Devantier and Artem O'Dord are going to go toe-to-toe to the line, and he'll finally pick that one off. Rico Lemma picked up 2 spots in that final lap as well. Sorry, 1 spot. I think Jingyu Rao has actually lost 2 spots in that final lap, and Michael Cullen's come through as well for him to finish outside the top 10. But that was touring car racing, I think, just about at its finest. Crossovers, low momentum, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Still some racing to go towards the end. Brett Selby-Wood versus Mark Taylor, and it looks like Selby-Wood is going to win that battle. 2 of the cars involved in the lap 1 shenanigans, and they will complete. Last car to come to the line will be Douglas Gowans, who is already on the Ullman Straight now. Just got to wait a few more moments for him to get his result, but rest of the field is as follows. Domenico, 1.4 seconds in the end from McLeod and McMullen. De Bono, gotta wonder if he will regret his move on McLeod, because it essentially resulted in them all losing the opportunity for the win. Matthew Brunt will round out the top 5 with Adam Heng, Sam Devantier, Artem Udod, Rico Lama and Michael Cullen rounding out the top 10. Mark Taylor finishes in Jingyu Rao finishes in 11th place with Hayden Kirk, Brett Selby-Wood, Mark Taylor, and Douglas Gowans rounding out our finishers. Unfortunately, Matt Stratford and Wolfgang Bosen, who started 6th and 7th, will have been taken out in that incident coming out of turn 1 on lap 1. The next round of the championship is going to be at Daytona International Speedway, Scott, but this time we're racing the moto layout. Not very often used layout of this circuit.
Yeah, and it actually, you get in the car there and you start driving, you're like, I know exactly where this track goes. No, you don't. Absolutely you don't. It is such an unused layout, and it is so not like the rest of the layouts at Daytona. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And rain on bankings.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Oh, it's going to be tough. So very tough. Rain is projected for next week's racing in the GR Buttkicker Cup. Make sure to get yourself signed up if you want to have a race, and also watch again on SimSpeed TV at 7:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We really appreciate your patronage. Thanks to the drivers as well for putting on a fantastic show. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin with me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes here on SimSpeed TV. We'll see you next time.